Is South Africa's political battle entering its most intense phase yet? That's the question many South Africans are asking after ANC Secretary-General Fikile Mbalula weighed in on two of the country's most influential political figures, Julius Malema and former President Jacob Zuma. His remarks have reignited political debate, with supporters and critics offering very different views about the direction of South African politics. Some believe Mbalula is simply defending the ANC against growing criticism from opposition parties and former allies. Others argue that his comments reflect the deep political divisions that continue to shape the country's future. What makes this story even more interesting is that it goes beyond personalities. It's about leadership, it's about accountability, and it's about which political vision South Africans believe can best address the country's biggest challenges, including unemployment, crime, corruption, economic growth, and service delivery. Julius Malema has continued to position himself as one of the ANC's strongest critics, often accusing the governing party of failing to deliver on its promises. Meanwhile, Jacob Zuma remains a major political figure whose influence continues to be felt through his supporters and the political movements aligned with him. Mbalula's latest comments have therefore sparked a broader conversation. Is the ANC responding to legitimate criticism, or is it simply defending its record after more than 3 decades in government? And perhaps an even bigger question, are South Africans still voting based on party loyalty, or are they now voting based on performance? That is a question only the people can answer, so let us know what you think. Do you agree with Fikile Mbalula's assessment? Do you believe Julius Malema is offering a better alternative for South Africa? Or do you think Jacob Zuma still has significant political influence despite leaving office? Whatever your opinion, keep the discussion respectful and constructive. Your voice matters, and we'd like to hear from you. Welcome to Michael Podcast TV. If you are new here, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications bell for more video. Now, let's watch the video and hear exactly what Fikile Mbalula had to say about Julius Malema and former President Jacob Zuma.
Coœked, Gurugamba, all sorts of names. Stop calling people kafirs in their own land by the racist elements. That must stop. On the 30th of June, the country stood firm. They called for a shutdown. South Africa did not shut down. Our children went to school. Our workers went to work. Our buses, our taxis, and our trains ran. Our clinics and our shops stayed open. The economy kept its feet, and we foresee no grave job losses from the action. The DA is very fast to claim victories. They met with Jacinda and his group in secret. They've never raised their voice. Where people were being attacked right in the city of Cape Town. I never saw even the mayor of the DA. Let us jog them public memory because they will deny it. In January 2022, the economic freedom fighters and their leader, Mr. Julius Malema, marched into restaurants beginning at the Mall of Africa to inspect how many South Africans and how many foreigners were employed, demanding a 60-40 quota of locals to migrants. At one establishment, the owner was pressured until a staffing split was announced. The Department of Employment and Labor condemned these unlawful, self-appointed inspections at the time. That theater, the party posing as the enforcer, howling the foreign worker into the spotlight, helped to normalize the very targeting of the vulnerable that we now see on our streets. Today, the same party wishes to wrap itself in the flag of Pan-Africanism. The record says otherwise. You cannot light the match in 2022 and profess shock at the fire in 2026. The MK Party and the demagoguery from Nkandla. We must speak equally frankly about the Umkhonto weSizwe Party. On the evidence before the public, this formation has positioned itself as an agent provocateur on the immigration question, fanning the mobilization around 30th June and giving license to those who will set our communities alight. The people of South Africa saw with their own eyes and heard with their own ears some of the most shocking demagogic utterances emanating from the Nkandla coterie. And here the ANC must register a particular shame. Among those now screaming loudest against a weak, poor, defenseless immigrant community are men and women who themselves, in the darkest years of our struggle, found shelter and sanctuary in the frontline states. In Mozambique, in Angola, in Zambia, in Tanzania, in Lesotho, and beyond. And these demagogues, some of them even get married and their children can't even speak English because they were born in foreign lands. Today, a child who was born in exile and their parents died in exile and their remains were repatriated into the country, they are named as foreigners to go away. And yet they are South Africans. Their parents died in exile and their parents were in the freedom struggle. And today they have been shamed, they have been terrorized in our streets. That can't be a solution to the problem of immigration that the country must rise and address legally. Let us be clear and let no one twist our words. We do not condone unlawful immigration. And we do not pretend that the anxieties of our people are not real. But we will not answer hardship with cruelty. And we will not preach order while promoting anarchy. That is not who we are. We are the children of Nelson Mandela, Albertina Sisulu, Winnie Mandela, Joe Slovo, Langalbalele Dube, and Charlotte Coœked. And of those who still walk our streets, like Sophie Dupre, we are a people imbued with Ubuntu, with gratitude. On the 30th of June, the country stood firm. They called for a shutdown. South Africa did not shut down. Our children went to school. Our workers went to work. Our buses, our taxis, and our trains ran. Our clinics and our shops stayed open. The economy kept its feet, and we foresee no grave job losses from the action. For this, we thank the overwhelming majority of South Africans who refused to be conscripted into anarchy. And we thank the men and women of the South African Police Service for maintaining law and order in the Republic. The Border Management Authority for the sterling job they are doing on a daily basis. And our security services who stood their ground with professionalism and restraint. Where there was violence, intimidation and looting, because there was, the law took its course, and it will continue to do so. We have said it before and we say it again. The enforcement of immigration law is the work of the democratic state, and the state alone. No mob, No march and no self-appointed commander may take that power into their own hands. The ANC salutes the calm and courage of ordinary South Africans of every origin who chose peace over the petrol bomb. But enforcement alone will never resolve what is in truth a continental question. No single country acting on its own can answer a movement of people that the whole of Africa is living through. Stop calling abantu amakwerekwe, amakurugamba, all sorts of names. Stop calling people kafirs in their own land by the racist elements. That must stop. Argue your point, raise your issues, but do not denigrate, do not spew hatred and ethno-nationalism. Like Yuma Sigela said, sonke singabantu. And South Africa prides itself of Ubuntu. There are many things that are happening, which we agree are a direct result of illegal immigration. The ANC urges government to place this compact on the agenda of the African Union's mid-year coordination meeting at Al Ain in Egypt. It is not an instrument of exclusion, nor a retreat from the African inheritance of generosity. To those in flight, it is a structural offering rooted in Ubuntu and in solidarity of the frontline states that once sheltered our own. We are not being blackmailed when we are reminded about our history, but equally, we must address the truth and the facts that illegal immigration has become a burden for South Africa and affected South Africa and South Africa alone. A movement from accusation to understanding, from blame to shared responsibility, from crisis to compact. That is the movement we need to build. We need to set the record straight. 2 decades of action on immigration. A lie is circulating in our politics that the ANC government has done nothing about undocumented immigration. The opportunists repeat it. Too many swallow it. Today, we place the facts on the table and we let the people judge for themselves. The removals, the numbers do not lie. The democratic state, led by the ANC up to the point of the GNU today, has legally deported hundreds of thousands of people who had no lawful right to remain in the Republic. Between January 2012 and December 2016 alone, some 370,000 people were deported. Nearly 9 in 10 of them our neighbors from Mozambique, Zimbabwe, and Lesotho. And the pace has quickened, not slackened. From 39,000 removals in 2023-2024 to 51,000 in 2024-2025, a 30% rise, and again to 57,000 in 2025-2026, with tens of thousands more this year at our ports of entry and in our communities. This is not the record of a government that has done nothing. It is the record of a state that enforces its laws, year in, year out, firmly and lawfully. This does not catch the cameras and the media. What catches the media is those who enter illegally in our country and settle in their numbers around our townships and the metropoles. This is not new and it is not small. At its peak in 2007, the democratic state legally deported some 300,012 people in a single year, the highest on record, and the work continues at our frontiers today. In a single festive season, the Border Management Authority intercepted more than 50,000 people at our ports and borderline, and attempted unlawful crossings have since fallen sharply. This is a state that acts and has acted for 2 decades. When the courts state our hand, here is the part the opportunists never tell you time and again. When this government has moved to enforce immigration law, it has been dragged to court. That answers the question. You are not doing anything and all of that. You are not acting to deal with illegal immigrants. Not to make it deport, but to stop it. When the government moved to end the Zimbabwe exemption permit dispensation, the Helen Suzman Foundation took the Minister of Home Affairs to court, Comrade Motsoaledi. And in June 2023, it happened here in South Africa. The High Court in Pretoria set that decision aside as unlawful, shielding some 178,000 Zimbabwean permit holders from removal. A ruling the government then lost on appeal. The Scalabrini Center, Lawyers for Human Rights, and others have over many years repeatedly and successfully approached our courts to constrain removals and to protect the rights of migrants and asylum seekers. This is the truth. The slogan hides. The ANC government has often been doing so much on immigration that the courts themselves have had to rein it in. You cannot, in the same breath, sue the government for deporting and then accuse it of doing nothing. Let the record be specific. The courts ordered us to reopen the Cape Town Refugee Reception Office in Ruta, in Abore. They barred the removal of those who wish to seek asylum. In Lawyers for Human Rights, the Constitutional Court struck down parts of our own detention regime. Time and again, the break on enforcement came not from a want of will on the part of this government, but from the bench. And let us remember who built the shield. When the ANC brought the Border Management Authority to Parliament, the very agency that today hardens our borders, it was opposed by the Democratic Alliance and delayed by others in that House. It took us a long time to establish BMA. It is an easy thing to shout about borders on a march. It is another thing entirely to vote to secure them. The ANC did the work, others stood in the way and now pretend otherwise. In fact, the Democratic Alliance, including the Minister of Home Affairs, who has been praised the other day, have gone silent on this particular challenge. I've never seen him. The DA is very fast to claim victories. They met with Jacinda and his group in secret. They've never raised their voice. Where people were being attacked right in the city of Cape Town. I never saw even the mayor of the DA. It brings us into line with the settled practice of nations the world over. and it answers in law the very grievance that the mob answers with petrol bomb. That is the difference between the ANC and the demagogues. We bring reform, not riot. A word on political opportunism, the EFF and the restaurant raids. You forget today.